Pakistan crisis, Raja Ashraf voted in as Prime Minister. Pakistan's ruling party candidate has been elected Prime Minister 3 days after the Supreme Court forced former Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani off office. Raja Pervez Ashraf, who won 211 votes in the 342-seat House, was a last-minute choice after a judge ordered the arrest of preferred candidate. But he inherits a troubled relationship between the civilian government, the judiciary, and the all-powerful army. Mr. Gilani's removal from office was seen as part of a long and bitter feud. Observers say Pakistan can ill afford its constitutional ill-fighting. The country's economy is in crisis as our relations with the US and militants are waging a violent insurgency in tribal areas near the Afghan border. Mr. Ashraf emerged as a likely next Prime Minister after high drama on Thursday, which saw a judge issue a warrant the arrest of the previous candidate Makhdoom Shahabuddin as he was filing his nomination papers. He received 211 votes out of 342 from members of parliament. There was only one other candidate standing against him for the post. Sardar Mehtab Ahmad Khan Abbasi from Pakistan Muslim League and party of opposition leader Nawaz Sharif received 89 votes. General elections are due by early next year, and correspondents say that Mr. Ashraf's term is likely to be troubled and short. As with many politicians in Pakistan, the new Prime Minister also faces controversy. He has been dragged by allegations of corruption relating to power projects. When he was the Water and Power Minister, he denies the charges. He is also likely to face the same Supreme Court demands as Mr. Gilani for the launch of corruption inquiry into Mr. Zardari. It was Mr. Gilani's refusal to do so that led to his conviction from contempt in April and his disqualification from public office 2 months later. He argued the president had immunity from prosecution. Zimbabwe's MPs to be circumcised in a bid to fight HIV. At least 10 Zimbabwean MPs have been circumcised as part of a campaign to reduce HIV and AIDS cases. A small makeshift clinic for carrying out the procedures was erected in Parliament House in the capital Harare. Blessing Shibundo, chairman of Zimbabwe Parliamentarians Against AIDS, said the main objective was to inspire other citizens to follow the suit. Research by UN has suggested male circumcision can reduce the spread of HIV and AIDS. A report by UN AIDS and the World Health Organization (WHO) said the risk of HIV infection among men could be reduced by 60%. More than 1 million people in Zimbabwe are believed to be HIV positive, with about 5 lakh receiving antiretroviral treatment. The country was one of the 13 African states identified in 2007 as a priority for the development of male circumcision programs by WHO and UNAIDS. Mr. Shibundo said more than 120 MPs and parliamentary staff had shown an interest in the circumcision program. Government unblocks the Pirate Bay and other sharing websites. Web users in India are once again able to access video and file sharing sites, including the Pirate Bay. The country's Madras High Court has changed its earlier censorship order, which centered on the issue of internet copyright. The original ruling made Indian internet service providers, ISPs, block access to the entire site to prevent a single film from being shared online. The new order was issued following an appeal filed by a consortium of ISPs. It states that only specific web addresses, URLs carrying the pirated content should be blocked, but not the entire website. The order of interim injunction dated 25/4/2012 is hereby clarified that the interim injunction is granted only in respect of a particular URL where the infringing movie is kept and not in respect of the entire website, reads the updated decision. Further, the applicant is directed to inform about the particulars of URL where the entering movie is kept within 48 hours. In late March, Chennai-based Copyright Labs, an Indian anti-piracy firm, won a court order that made Indian ISPs and phone firms stop their customers reaching websites that were illegally sharing copies of certain Bollywood films. The Ashok Kumar order, similar to a John Doe order in the United States and designed to protect the copyright of music, films, and other content, allowed copyright holders to request a website to be taken down to prevent users from downloading content illegally. The ruling led to a series of cyber attacks by the hacker group Anonymous, which targeted a number of Indian websites, including those for government departments and India's Supreme Court. Anonymous said the attacks were carried out in a retaliation against blogs imposed on video and file sharing sites. The internet hacking group then staged numerous protests against internet censorship in India. We'll move on to the business world. China and Brazil in $30 billion currency swap agreement. China and Brazil have agreed a currency swap deal in a bid to safeguard against any global financial crisis and strengthen their trade ties. It will allow their respective central banks to exchange local currencies worth up to 60 billion reals on 190 billion yuan. The amount can be used to shore up reserves in times of crisis or put towards boosting bilateral trade. China is Brazil's biggest trading partner. As international credit remains scarce, we will have enough credit for our transactions, Brazil's Finance Minister Guido Mantega said. Welcome to the world of science. Bird flu could mutate to cause deadly human pandemic. The H5N1 bird flu virus could change into a form able to spread rapidly between humans, scientists have warned. Researchers have identified 5 genetic changes that could allow the virus to start a deadly pandemic. Writing in the journal Science, they say it would be theoretically possible for these changes to occur in nature. A US agency has tried unsuccessfully to ban the publication of parts of the research, fearing it could be used by terrorists to create a bioweapon. According to Professor Ron Fruchia from the Erasmus Medical Center in the Netherlands, who led the research publication of the work in full, will give the wider scientific community the best possible chance to combat future flu pandemics. We hope to learn which viruses cause pandemics, and by knowing that, we might be able to prevent them by enforcing strict eradication programs, he told reporters. And in sports! Makan asked tennis player to play for the nation. Sports Minister Ajay Makan on Friday sought to steer clear of the furor surrounding the controversial tennis team selection from London Olympics, but said the feuding players should put national interests first. It's not the job of a ministry. We do not participate in the selection process at all. Things like these should have been worked out long back, Mr. Makan told reporters here when he asked about the continuing drama that is still playing out despite the All India Tennis Association decision to send 2 men's doubles team. We can only appeal to the players through the media, and we have done that. This is a Lakshman Rekha, and let us not cross that. Let's not disturb the sanctity of this Lakshman Rekha, he added. Despite a compromise formula under which Leander Paes has been paired with much lower-ranked Vishnuvardhan, and Mahesh Bhupati and Rohan Bopanna have been allowed to team up for the big event, the furor seems far from settled. And now, before we close today's bulletin of news analysis, let's have a recap of the main points. Turkish warplane missing near Syrian border. Eurozone 4 leaders agree economic growth package. Breivik trial ends in Norway with walkout of families. Pakistan crisis, Raja Ashraf voted in as Prime Minister. Zimbabwe's MPs to be circumcised in a bid to fight HIV. Indian government unblocks the Pirate Bay and other sharing websites. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Be with us in the coming weeks to thank you